going on? What's going on? Thanks for tuning into the channel. This is Devin Coates coming to you with a book review right now. It's going to be The Happy Vegan by Russell Simmons. Now, this book pretty pivotal for me, and just all his promo in general, because I wanted to change my diet up, and I've kind of adopted a lot of this, and then I'll kind of explain my feelings, the book, and how it all comes together. So the book really starts off with Russell Simmons just talking at a very high level about veganism, what it is, and his own experiences. So he was somebody that ate tons of meat, also was getting high a lot, as he documents in the book. And he basically kind of switched, he went on a big switch of all of that. So he started to like meditate, do yoga, and completely clean. And he just kind of talks about the vegan aspect and how eating and everything helps. So he starts off after that initial high-level chapter about the misconceptions. So, you know, all this stuff you hear, like, you're not going to get enough protein. It's bullshit. I've been doing it. I haven't felt like I've been getting enough protein. You're going to feel like you're missing something. You're not going to get all your nutritional benefits. And just all these different things, misconceptions you might have heard. And he kind of addresses them and just puts you in a position where it's like, nothing bad's going to happen from doing this. Only good can come out of it. And then he kind of moves more into the health benefits. So health, like through a plant-based diet. And basically, I mean, I'm not going to get into everything he talks about. I mean, regurgitated exactly, but just, I mean, when you're cutting out meat sits in your body for a very long time. It causes inflammation. So same with dairy. Dairy causes inflammation. There's plenty of things that, you know, when we were brought up, I know for me, the food groups and things, like dairy had a position, and dairy is actually not a food group. If you just think about it intellectually, how could it ever make sense that our diet is based off the milk of another animal? That just doesn't really make logical sense. Like, you couldn't evolve as a species if your literal survival and nutrition was based off of the milk of another animal when they're not domesticated. It doesn't make sense. But most people are lactose intolerant. A lot of people die. A lot of doctors will agree that meat is the number one contributor. Meat and dairy are number one contributors to cancer. Lots of studies that show that. There's studies that, like, for example, you know, milk's supposed to make your bones stronger. There's actually not any data that correlates with that. And they actually did do a controlled study where they tried with no milk, 1 glass, and then 2 glasses of milk. No glasses. 1 glass of milk didn't have any correlation to any change, and 2 glasses of milk, you're actually, if you had osteoporosis, like 2 times more likely or 4 times more likely to break a bone. So it actually wasn't helping at all. So you just kind of, one goes into the, I'm kind of combining chapters probably, but he's going into misconceptions and the overall health benefits. That eating green diet, the fiber definitely clears out your shit. I can tell you that firsthand. Boosted energy. You'll feel more cleansed. So that, I mean, I'll kind of move off of that, but basically a lot of health benefits, lots of misconceptions about how great meat is. And then he kind of starts to move to reasons that aren't as selfish. So one, do it for the earth. The meat industry, actually, you eating meat, and if you stopped eating meat, that'd be the largest contribution you can have towards global warming. So including all the different transportation, adding all that up, if we could stop the meat industry, that would have a larger impact on global warming and climate change and things like that. Because it's many different things. It's like, because you got to think about everything that goes into this. So one, the cows' farts, and there's so many cows, it's causing a lot of greenhouse gases. Like, legitimately, they're fucking farts and shits. And then you have to think about all the transportation in order to run all these operations. These what did he call them? CAFOs, centralized animal feeding operations, or something like that. Um, so they have to get all the food. They have to, and then all the water that goes into this. So they have to give water for all these animals. Then they have to grow all the food, all the corn, and water all that corn. Water is a problem. We're having a water shortage. If we could stop running this one operation, it would have such a large impact globally. Like, it's almost unfathomable. So that was a big one for me, and that was actually the biggest one that I heard a lot of his promos, influenced me to buy the book, influenced me to try to do it for a week. Right now, I'm definitely not as strict, and as I get to the how to do it part of it, he kind of throws that in there. And I've also subscribed to a lot of channels within YouTube and watching how they do it. And I mean, some don't even really talk about doing it gradually, but I'm doing it in a somewhat gradual manner for myself. So that's really to do it for the Earth. It's going to have the largest impact on global warming, climate change, all the water that's used to hit these operating units. And then, so that's like as a huge benefit. But then he moves to the literal killings and the karmic disaster and consequences that will be caused from killing millions and billions of lives that are pretty much born into suffering for their whole life and then will be killed. So do it for the living things, for all living things, do it for the animals. And he just goes into just the cruel operations. Then he suggests a few movies because he's saying he's not even doing it justice, but I'll give you a few brief ones. Like, if you think about the chickens, they're held in situations that are so tight that they can't walk for their whole life. Their chickens are not bred to be in that large groups of like chickens, so it calls them to fight. So they actually just cut their beaks off, and you do this without anesthetic. So just imagine just having part of your face just cut off. With the pigs, I know they just castrate them. They just tie the thing, cut their dick, cut their fucking balls off. No anesthetic. So going back to the chickens, they pull the chickens away from their mothers immediately. We have that idea of the mother hen, and maybe you don't think about the emotions of an animal, but if we're deriving a word for mother hen, they're like the mother hens are literally going crazy because their babies just get taken away and basically put in a situation where they're going to be pumped with hormones and killed. They're given a lot of Prozac because this gives them so much anxiety. So a lot of things you're ingesting actually have Prozac. So they have just drug-induced animals that don't see the light of daylight for their whole lives. Just talking about chickens. He goes into pigs. Pigs are actually smarter than a dog's, man's best friend. And they're basically locked in a cage their whole lives, have their balls just cut off, no anesthetic. He goes through cows and the milking of the cows and how they're just basically just getting pumped and how raw and all that stuff gets. And it's just terrible. And if you ever put any human in that condition, everybody would be way up in arms, even if it was for a fucking day. So he goes into the animals. It's kind of gross. It's kind of gruesome. He goes through it. I don't feel like I need to go into each one. I mean, I know one movie I saw in about '09 that really made me know that eventually I wanted to go on a more plant-based diet was Food Inc. And you just see how things are treated, and it's disgusting. But he gives some other books. Plus, at the very end, he has tons of additional resources. But the last thing he did was go on how to do it. So he goes through what foods you might want to buy, living in different cities, and if you're not in a more metropolitan city, it's obviously going to be more difficult. Going out to eat, eating with friends, when you're a guest, when they're a guest to you, and he just goes through a lot of different things, and then he talks about certain situations where, maybe you're not super strict. And for me, I kind of look at it like my diet was so based on fucking meat that it's kind of hard to just cut it all out cold turkey. I kind of did that for the first week, and the second week I was pretty good. And at this point, I'm still eating fish a little bit. I mean, eventually I'm going to push it out, but this book definitely inspired me to make more of the change to move past there. So I definitely don't consider myself a vegan. I do eat a way more heavily plant-based diet than I ate before. So I mean, I don't know if there's a fucking word for it. And eventually, I hope to be able to move all the way over sooner than later. But and I'll just kind of give a just side cap since I'm pretty much done with. Gives additional resources at the end. That's really the end of it. And just for me, because I have actually implemented certain things like this. One, it's been making me cook a lot more. My kitchen skills heavily increased. Definitely feel higher bit of energy. The times I do eat meat, my face gets ridiculously swollen and I feel like shit. I can feel the energy differences in that. After I eat, I don't feel like I'm gonna pass out. So that's a big one, and that was another huge reason why I started it. Was that at work I'd be starving, eat a fucking sub, and then I feel like I have to go to sleep for the rest of the 4 hours of the day. So increased energy, you feel better. You feel better in terms of, like, you're helping the animals, you're helping the earth and all that other shit. And also your mouth kind of gets more attuned to different flavors. Like, when you just eat meat, every meal you pretty much eat, the meat takes over all the taste because it's such an explosion of, like, fat and salt. But when you kind of cut that out, you start to, like, taste more of the textures and things more in depth that I didn't really notice. And I still feel like I don't notice that much, but I had a couple times where I was eating and I was like, whoa, like, this kind of tastes a lot more than I used to remember something like this would taste like. So those were my benefits. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying to push it to eventually not really ever cheat. I don't really eat any meat at my house. That's like my one stipulation. So I don't purchase any meat. But if I go out and everybody's eating fish, it doesn't look like they have, or everybody's eating meat, I might get a fish dish or something like that. And that's pretty much how I'm cheating nowadays. But that's pretty much it. Once again, The Happy Vegan, Russell Simmons. It's a great book, great read. I encourage you to read it and implement some of these things in your life because it's definitely helped me, and I'm going to keep it continuing. So if you like the content, please click the like button. Leave some comments below. Click the subscribe button. And until next time, peace out.